How's it going, everybody? Martha Cross 316 back with another comic book flashback. Today we are looking at the X-Men issue number 102. This issue came out in December of 1976. And as we look on the cover today, we have the X-Men going up against the Juggernaut. He is an unstoppable force. The X-Men have had a hard time in the past trying to fight and stop the Juggernaut. So now we have this new team of X-Men going up against the Juggernaut and Black Tom Cassidy. This is an action-packed story. You do not want to miss any of this great artwork or any of this good story, so do not click away. But if you have not subscribed to this channel, go ahead and subscribe and also like this video, and let's get started. We have this brought to you by Chris Claremont doing the writing for this issue. We have Dave Cockrum doing the artwork, Sam Granger on the inking, John Costanza, the lettering page, Bonnie Wilford is the colorist, and Archie Goodwin is the editor for this issue. And just going to give a little bit of a background as to what's been going on. We had the X-Men return back to Earth after, the huge thing going on with Project Armageddon. We had a big scare with Jean Grey as her life was in mortal danger, but she allowed the X-Men to get back to Earth. But we saw the birth of the Phoenix, which is something the X-Men have not really come to know yet. We had Jean Grey in the hospital. We had Professor Xavier. He's with her, as well as Scott Storms. We had the X-Men. They're on a much-needed vacation. They went to Ireland, and that's the homeland of Sean Cassidy, who is the Banshee. And lo and behold, they're going to run right into danger here as they run into the Juggernaut and Black Tom Cassidy here. And so we just got a great action scene right here. And we left off on last issue with Storm, and she is just terrified. She's just gone into panic mode. She's having a panic attack. The X-Men are crying for her help. But again, she's crawled up in a corner crying to death. I mean, she hates to be in enclosed spaces. That's one of her biggest fears. So we're going to find out more about the backstory of Storm here. We also see that Banshee and Black Tom Cassidy, if you do not know, they are related. They are cousins. And Black Tom Cassidy basically reveals here that he is immune to the sonic scream of the Banshee, but Banshee is also immune to the mutant powers of Black Tom Cassidy. So they are evenly matched here. So we've got Black Tom Cassidy and Banshee here going up against each other, but we have the rest of the X-Men trying their best to stop the Juggernaut. And like I said, the Juggernaut is just unstoppable. We have Colossus here, and from the past issues, we've seen a very close relationship between Colossus and Storm. They are really good friends and they care for each other, and so we see a concern on the face of Colossus, but Wolverine is telling Colossus that he needs to get his head in the game. He needs to stop worrying about Storm, and they need to focus on the Juggernaut. So Wolverine grabs a hold of Colossus's arm, but Colossus, he goes full throttle and tackles the Juggernaut, actually knocks him down for once. And then we have an altercation between Colossus and Wolverine. And Wolverine's like, I'll fight you anytime and any place, but right now we need to stop this guy. And then because of the distraction, Colossus is taken down by the Juggernaut. Like I said, a lot of great action here. We have Wolverine going up against the Juggernaut for the first time. Wolverine unleashes with his claws, but still, even with the adamantium claws, Wolverine is still not able to take down the Juggernaut. So even we have Nightcrawler here, and he's close to the Storm as well. He's trying his best to, help Storm come to grips. Like, we need your help. We have a little bit of cat and mouse here with Juggernaut and Nightcrawler. He is dodging every blow that Juggernaut is trying to land on him. And we have Nightcrawler. He's fast as a whip. He can teleport, but sooner or later, Nightcrawler is going to lose his energy, and with one, knockout blow, Nightcrawler will be done. So then Juggernaut focuses his attention on Storm. He grabs a hold of her hair, and Nightcrawler here, he's going to try to stop him, and again, he teleports out of the way. Here we have a little bit of a flashback of Storm's past. We get to learn a little bit more about Storm's childhood, and we go all the way back to Cairo in 1951. This is when she was a child, and she's growing up with her parents here. They're in Cairo. They're just moving into Cairo. This is the good old days in 1951. But as time moves on, we also have in 1956, we had the Suez War. And so, if you know anything about that war, that was a pretty deadly war. And it had its moments in Egypt when Egypt was attacked. And so we have Egypt is attacked here in Cairo, and we have this plane here. I mean, warfare is taking place in the skies, right? I mean, across the landscape of Cairo, and Aurora's family is realizing the dangers that's going on. We have the father here. He's trying his best to be a hero, trying to calm his family down, but we have this one plane. I mean, it's going to crash into this house, and so this is what Storm always comes back to. This is why she hates to be trapped in enclosed spaces. Is because of this traumatic experience she had with the death of her family back in 1956. And so she comes to, she's trapped underneath all this debris. She's crying for her mother. It's just a very traumatic experience. We have a couple of these people here. They're Ahmed El Gabar. Basically, he comes to the rescue and he trains her up to become one of the best thieves in Cairo, one of the best beggars and thieves in Cairo. Um, if you read anything about the backstory of Storm and Giant Size X-Men #1, you remember a little bit of how she was a goddess, but before then she was a sneak, she was a thief in Cairo, and so that was what she was known for. And then we see how Professor Xavier came to her aid in Giant Size X-Men #1. So that's a little bit of an origin story of Storm, stuff we didn't know. And so Storm, calls out to Professor Xavier. He has a mind link with all of his students. So even though Professor Xavier is in New York, he still knows that they're in danger. So he comes to Scott Summers. And we have Jean Grey here, and she's finally conscious here. We learn that Misty Knight, the good friend of Jean Grey, is her roommate in New York. But it's, a very short introduction as we have, Professor Xavier very short with Misty Knight saying, "I'm sorry, but I need to speak with Scott." And so we see here that he reveals that the X-Men are in mortal danger with the Juggernaut, and we find out that Scott Summers refuses to go to Ireland, that he's not going to leave Jean Grey behind until she is out of danger. So we have Professor Xavier here just absolutely losing his mind here. He's like, "How dare you, reject my demand to go to Ireland? The X-Men are in danger." He said, "Jean Grey is the only person I care about." That's the main thing, Scott Summers has realized. All of a sudden, we have Professor Xavier. Remember, he's been having these dreams. He sees a picture, and he actually sees the face of the person in his dream. So again, Professor Xavier's starting to lose his mind. We go back to Ireland now. We had the X-Men still putting up a fight against the Juggernaut, and they're still struggling. They just seem to try everything in their book here, but they just cannot stop them. And so we have Nightcrawler. He swings from, it looks like this lamp or ceiling fan, and then it tries his best to use this, looks like a burning candle to try to, ignite the face of, the Juggernaut, but that still doesn't work. We have Black Tom Cassidy. He uses his cane. It blasts the back of Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler is knocked out. And then we see these two unfamiliar people. We don't know who they are, but they drag Nightcrawler out of danger. So we'll learn more about them from next issue. We still have, Banshee and Black Tom Cassidy going at each other. And Black Tom Cassidy basically tells Banshee that, "I'm pretty shocked that you haven't asked us who set us up, who set y'all up, and who we're working for." So we learned that Black Tom Cassidy and Juggernaut were released from prison by somebody. Somebody broke them out of prison, and they're basically, working to defeat the X-Men because they're getting paid money to do it. So we don't know who, you know, the Juggernaut and Black Tom Cassidy are working for. We have Colossus here. He tries to put up, once again, another fight with the Juggernaut, but again, it's just nothing seems to be working here. We finally see that Storm is going to try her best to use an electrical blast to fight against the Juggernaut. She finally gains some courage, but even that doesn't stop the Juggernaut. He forces the blast to Storm, knocks her out, and so we see the defeat of the X-Men in this issue, and we have the Juggernaut revealing that if Black Tom Cassidy and the Juggernaut, you know, cause as much damage as possible to the X-Men, it will cause Charles Xavier a lot of excruciating pain. And so that is what we're going to leave off here. I hope you like this issue. And as always, I will see you next time as we look at issue number 103. And until next time, keep reading comics.